You want this one?
Nah, you do it better, bro. Fuck that. My brother always gives. He said he likes it, but he's always like, it always cracks me up hearing you intro compared to TD. Like, cause
He says that too.
yeah, I was like, yeah, it's just feels like it's not meant for me to do it. It's you come in a lot higher.
Did he ever say anything about the one where I was like cracking up on the intro back in? Remember when we were like, remember when you did it and I was dying? It was one of the anime. I think it was anime. I think it was the anime care package one. I think you did it.
No, he never missed. But he's like, he just cracks me up because he just when I do it, he's like, what the? He said it's not bad. It's just the dynamics. You're just better, bro.
It is.
It's just better.
It is funny. It is funny. But I mean, I like you doing the intro too sometimes. You know.
Yeah, it depends. I'll always do the anime ones.
Yeah.
I'll say
no. You're gonna do different. You're gonna do more. We're gonna get you involved. We're gonna get you involved.
All right.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rising of the Dreamerverse. We are here today to talk about Spider-Man 2, the video game. We're going to do our little review on Spider-Man 2, and we're also going to talk about the Video Game Awards. There's a lot to talk about kind of regarding both, but we're going to try to be a little quick. Maybe not. We're going to spoil some stuff, so be ready for that. We're going to give you here a little spoiler warning after the break here for the intro, but... yeah, Spider-Man 2 Game Awards. Welcome back to the Rising of the Dreamerverse. How we doing today, Yemi? How we doing? We are back for episode number 9. 9.
Isn't it crazy that we have 9 episodes out?
It is pretty wild.
And we started in October.
It is pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we are here. I do kind of want to actually confirm myself now, because you were second guessing yourself earlier when you said
it's
9.
Definitely 9. Because the Marvels was 8. Definitely 9. But I'm doing well, bro.
No, hold on. Oh yeah, this is 9. This would be 9. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we're good.
All right,
bro.
my math is right, baby.
Yeah, your math is right.
I passed math.
How you doing, TD?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
Excited to be on the podcast today. Decided to talk about. Finally excited to talk about Spider-Man 2 because you've been fucking keeping me hostage over here, preventing me from talking about it for so long. No, I'm just kidding. But I always give him shit because it took him so long, not so long to beat the game, but I like not sped run it, but I did beat it pretty fast, and I was itching to talk about it.
Tell the people. We talked about it.
We talked about it. We've talked about it quite a few times.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, TD beat it in what, 3 days?
I mean, like,
it took me 2 weeks.
Yeah, like, well, like so just, I guess, a quick background on when the game dropped. I didn't even get to play it on release day. I was out of town. I was out of town down in North Carolina with some friends and my family as well. And yeah, I didn't even get to play the game that day or Saturday. And I got to play it late night Sunday. Like, I didn't get back here Sunday until probably 8 or 9, maybe. I want to say maybe a little earlier than that. But then I had to download the game because I ended up getting the collector's edition. So I had to, I opened that, and then I got my game code and everything. So I had to then put in the code to download the game. Had to wait for that. So then I didn't get to play until that night. Probably played for an hour or two that night. And then I think I left my PlayStation on that night. So I think that's one of the nights where my game was just on, but I wasn't actually playing it.
Yeah, sounds about what I do every time.
And I did that a couple more times. And then I played it, throughout the week a little bit. I would play for probably actually playing the game. I probably played anywhere from 2 to 4 hours at a time. There was probably one day where I did sit down on like a weekend or something, and I actually grinded out like 8 hours of it just because I could. But yeah, didn't really play it too long, for periods of time throughout that week. Ended up beating it that weekend, like literally the next weekend, or I had the game beat by that weekend because I played it for a couple hours each day leading up to that. And then when I finally told you I beat the game, I think the game said that I had 50 hours played, but when it comes back to when it comes back to me leaving the game on, there were probably like at least 3 or 4 days where I did that. So the game was on for at least 8 hours, right? I think my math's right on that, for 3 days. So that would equate to about 24, 25 hours. And that would take me back down to about that 24, 25 hour range, which is what I thought I beat it in. And that was, I think, what I believe what was the average time that they said. It was like 25 to 30 hours they said it would take to beat the game. So I'm happy to believe that I did beat it within that time frame.
Yeah, I mean,
And
You
I
beat it in a couple
enjoyed the
days,
ever living
bro.
shit out of it too.
You
So
beat it in a couple days. You completed fully in a couple days. Most normal gamers, I'm not even. I gotta be real. Like I'm not the gamer that I used to be. So it was. I thought
dude,
I
none
did,
of us are.
I thought I did pretty
As much
good.
as I want to be, and
Yeah.
I mean, I will give myself some credit. I do manage to get some gaming in, probably a little too much more than I should in some days or at some points. But you know, like when I should be going to bed for work the next day, I'm, you know, up until 1, 2 in the morning and sometimes 3 just chilling and playing. But yeah, no, I still get my gaming in for sure. But
Right.
I'm, like you said, dude, like where I used to be able to come home from, whether it was school, practice of whatever sport I was playing or whatever, and then just literally sit there for the rest of the day and just game all night. And then when it came to weekends, you wake up, you don't really have anything going on unless you're playing sports, which I mean I did, but I still again was able to get a ton of gaming in as a kid. So nothing like what we used to be.
But it took me 2 weeks, you know, 2 weeks tops, which
I'm
not mad at.
It didn't take. It felt like forever for me because I was waiting for you to beat it. And I was I was waiting to have someone to talk to about it. You're like the only other person that I know that had and that got it at launch. Like I mean, I know friends that like have, you know, game systems and consoles and stuff, but most of them have moved to PC, so they're not gonna get this game until
like another year, right?
They're gonna get it probably sometime in 2024. I imagine that they'll port it to PC, but yeah, dude. I mean, you're the only other person, maybe other than Wyatt, that would have potentially gotten it. But I think he told us that he didn't, right?
Bro. Yeah, PlayStation 5. Yeah.
He said he was thinking about getting one though, and all that stuff. So
I'll see it when I believe it.
well, yeah,
right.
Bro.
Been
Get
in
one.
this for years, bro.
Get one, so the Spider-Man we can all play PlayStation together.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, dude. I mean, you didn't take that. It wasn't that long.
No,
but
no.
It felt like eternity because I was like just waiting for you, and then finally you did, and then we were able to spitball it, you know, about the game and kind of the future of Spider-Man, and especially with Insomniac Games and just that whole universe. So
yeah, guys, again, we're gonna get into the game.
Oh yeah. I guess before I talk about anything else,
the spoiler warning. So if you have not played the game at all, you don't want to hear about the plot, any of the ending.
Yeah, if you don't want to know about nothing,
spoiler warning.
Get out.
Get out now. We're gonna go in. So there you go.
Yep. Alrighty.
Let's get into it, bro.
Yeah, man. So this is the third rendition of Spider-Man that we've gotten from Insomniac Games. Over what? I mean, since what? 2018. 2018 is when that when the first game came out?
Yeah, it did.
2018. It was 2018. So
5 years.
Yeah, dude. Over a 5-year period, we've gotten some pretty dope games from Insomniac already, I would say, with Spider-Man. But then this was, you know, that trilogy, man. That, you know, that with movies brings it, you know, supposed to bring everything together. Do you think that this third game kind of did that for at least the first two that they've had out so far?
Yeah, no, I think it delivered for sure. It's definitely better than the first one. I mean, being able to switch between Miles and Peter is just like a dream come true. Like being able to see them interact and, you know, Peter's mentorship towards Miles is everything I expected. Like the opening scene, like it blew me away. It was better than the Spider-Man Miles game is better than the original game. So
and you're talking about the opening when we get to because I think I'm pretty sure before we get to the Sandman opening scene, don't we have the opening with Harry and Norman where it's like him coming back?
Oh yeah,
and then we get a peek at Craven too, right? Before they
no. I think it's Sandman, right? It's the Sandman.
It's the Sandman
first,
and then they go to
Craven.
Then they go to that. Okay,
yeah, because they
I forgot the
bang.
order. I forgot the order.
With bang. You're like, nah, they're not didn't hold anything back. So the scene was epic, bro. It felt like
opening scene was dope.
It was great, bro. They throw you into the game, which I always love when games do. So
yeah, because I mean, I guess along with the opening scene, we get Peter. He's teaching. He's a teacher.
Right.
I forget what college or high school or whatever it's at, but it's
at where
Miles. What's it called? Vision Academy, right?
Yeah, Vision Academy.
Yeah, and
first day.
First day on the job.
First day on the job.
Yeah, and Yeah, Peter gets introduced. He kind of starts talking to the class. I think there's one
Miles
little.
is in the class.
Yeah, Miles is in the class too. There's one little funny snippet too where Miles like is looking at him and he's doing like one of these things.
Yeah.
And it's because Peter's got like a button up on, but it with the top button's unbuttoned, and you can kind of start to see the suit.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey
Trying to
man, fix that
adjust
shit."
it. Yeah. Yep.
So it starts talking to the class, and then you can kind of, as he's kind of giving his lecture, you can kind of see out on the window.
Kinda
Or
like a
through the window, you can
sandstorm
see
going on.
a sandstorm, and
Yeah.
there's one girl that looks over, and then Miles notices it, and then he asks, I believe he asks to go to the bathroom,
Yep.
and then he comes back pretty quickly, and is like, "Hey, does he call him Peter? I think does he accidentally call him Peter?
I think he calls him Peter or Mr. Parker.
Okay, yeah,
He's like, "Hey, Mr. Parker, can you help me out with something?"
yeah, he's like kind of a little frantic. He's like, "Hey, I like really need your help," and he's like, Mr. Morales, is this something you can do on your own?
Right.
Or,
he's like, "No."
He's like, "No, not at all. I am very sure of it." And yeah, man, they go swing out to fight Sandman, and I do
So
love
epic,
how
bro.
they do this because it's kind of like it's also kind of like the tutorial intro into the game in a way too.
Yeah.
So you
Perfect.
get the kind of instructions to the controls that most of are already there, but then the new stuff too, because you get introduced to the web wings pretty much right away.
Changer.
Yeah,
Changes everything.
web wings made the game a lot of fun.
It did.
Made this game a lot of fun just to move around.
Yeah.
It felt moving around the city didn't feel as much of a chore. And here's the crazy part:
Never
the city
felt like a chore to me.
I wouldn't say a chore, but just
Yeah.
like if you had to go top to bottom of the map and you
Yeah.
didn't have fast travel points, or because the fast travel is completely different from
So
even the
smooth,
first
yeah.
couple games to this game.
Yeah.
But like if you didn't have those fast travel points, then you had to swing a pretty long way. Which I'm
Right.
not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I love
the
this
swinging.
like that. The swinging is one of the best. If
Mechanics.
not, whatever.
Crazy.
It's the one of the best parts about Spider-Man. So it's like I'm not saying that, but it's just like I would say the web wings definitely like and made it just like feel almost not. I wouldn't even say more natural, but it definitely made it way more fun.
Yeah, it was way more fun. It was more fluid.
Fluid.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe that was the word I was looking for actually.
Dude, it was like, I mean, I remember seeing the web wings in the Holland films as well, like occasionally, but like,
yeah, he did.
I mean, like, I didn't think it would change the dynamic so much, that it did. Like, I mean, just going swinging, diving down, swooping into the web wings. Even during the Sandman fight, it was just like Peter was like, "Yo, like let's use the because it was like basically like a prototype." He's like, "Are we ready to use the prototype?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And they both switch into the web wings, and it was just like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, dude, it was sick.
I mean, the fight was just, it was all over the city. It was epic.
Dude, the fight was amazing. Dude, how big he was, man. Like just the pure, like, I mean,
it was yeah. I was like, we're next gen now. Like,
100%.
Feels like I mean, it already felt like a next gen game, but that was a next gen fight. Like,
that's a good point.
One of the best fights I've experienced in recent memory in the game. So
I would say it's right up there for me with the Fisk one in the first game, dude. Because like I mean, the Fisk
one was pretty good.
The Fisk one's great, and it's like I said, I've said before, I love Fisk. Like Fisk is one of my favorite Marvel enemies or villains, rogues, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. He's to me one of the best too. And,
for sure.
And I would say this could also have to do with just maybe the live portrayal that we've already gotten from Vic D'Onofrio that then we're gonna obviously see coming up in Daredevil Born Again and in Echo.
Oh yeah,
which that we're gonna have a reaction to that Echo trailer coming out soon. I know it's been out already for a little bit, but we did react to that and we'll have that out hopefully this weekend. But that Echo trailer too, man. I mean, he just looks so good in that. So like Fisk is like one of my favorite, whatever. So it's or favorite rogue. So it's like that scene is like kind of nostalgic for me. Yeah. And then you throw the Sandman scene on it too. It's just like.
Would you say that the Sandman, like if you had to choose, like do you think it topped that Fisk fight?
I would say yeah, just because it, like the scale that they took it to.
Oh yeah,
it was like I mean, it was throughout the whole city almost in a way. Like when he hits Miles at one point,
throws him across the city.
I mean, like multiple blocks. Like that dude's gone. Like that's through hours of traffic. He ain't getting back if he's in a car. Like, but it's I mean, it's nuts, dude. Like I would say, yeah. If you're talking about like scale and all that, like they outdo the Fisk fight 100%. If you're talking which one do I like more in terms of villains, I definitely like Fisk more, but still, I still got to give it to Sandman.
Gotta give it to
This opening
Sandman.
scene
It's just,
outdoes
yeah,
the
it's
Fisk
just so
scene,
epic,
which
bro.
I mean, it should though, right? The
Yeah.
third, this
I
third game
mean,
should
go
also,
big.
needs to be bigger than the first game.
Yeah.
I would even argue that the opening scene in the first game was better than the opening scene in the second game. No disrespect to Miles, I just didn't care for the Rhino one too much.
Oh yeah.
Like I
The
just
Miles
didn't,
game.
and I didn't really care for that opening scene.
It was cool.
It was cool. Yeah,
It
don't
was
get me
cool.
wrong, but like it was something that you kind of already did with Peter in the first game.
Yeah, it was
So-
just kind of like,
Yeah.
and also Miles just seemed like a rookie, so it was cool with that. And you
Yeah.
feel like in this second one, like Miles has definitely gotten this footing as far as being Spider-Man. For
Like you're talking about this third, the third game, right?
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man. Yeah,
It did. It's It was
yeah.
supposed to be all DLC, but then
Right,
it's like it's confusing everybody. But no,
Yeah.
I get you. No, dude, opening scene. Compared to one and Miles, I would say it blows them both away out of the water. Maybe even combined in a way. But
Absolutely.
I would probably rank them: Spider-Man 2 opening scene, Spider-Man 1 opening scene, and then Miles' opening scene. So that's for me what I would probably give the rank to.
Spider-Man 2 is definitely number one for me, and then I would definitely give it to Spider-Man 1, and then Spider-Man Miles.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat.
So I would say we probably should hit on a little bit just the fact that we also kind of get in that opening or in the opening scenes. Now we'll talk about opening scenes now because we get a lot of, you get quite a bit cinematic kind of to start from what I remember. Because then you do see Norman, which it doesn't matter whether it was before or not. I could care less. But Norman is you see Harry. And it's actually almost seems like it was a flashback from before, like when he was like about to go into treatment, when he was like going away or whatever in the first game. And Norman's talking to Harry and basically tells him like, you're not gonna, it's going to work. Like you're gonna be fine. And then puts his hand on him and then essentially transfers the symbiote over to Harry. You don't remember that?
That's how he gives it to him? So Norman was wearing the symbiote?
Dude, at one point, you don't remember that?
I thought Harry was having like a nightmare. And that's how, and then I didn't interpret it that way.
No, I could have sworn either way. I mean, because I thought that's what they used to like make him better was the symbiote.
Oh yeah. That cured his whatever he had, his illness, but like I didn't know Norman was like transferred it to him. I think
there was there was a flashback I thought or something that
but I thought that was just I thought that was like Harry's.
It could maybe it could have been and maybe I misinterpreted it, but we get to see it, they basically they confirm that he has the symbiote, and that's essentially how he's okay now, right? So it's like, we now understand how Harry is going to be able to come back, and he's fine. And then
we have the intro with Craven. And
we get Craven. He's in the jungle hunting. He basically has his crew trying to like give him like some great hunt or somebody to find or whatever, and Craven hunts him pretty easily, not hard at all, and is not impressed.
He's like, I've been in your corner for hours.
And he's like,
it's pathetic.
He's like, a real hunter would have tracked that down forever ago or whatever.
And Hunter was so cocky. He was like, this old man, like, you're getting slow, man. And then Craven just comes up like, are you kidding me? I've been watching you for hours. Like, that was so funny. And then he just breaks his neck, and then he's like, and then they tell him like, hey, we have a new prey, and basically it's New York City, and it's all these freaking.
I mean, it's literally dude. It's super. It's rogues and heroes combined because they show Spider-Man and they show Miles,
Black Cat.
They show Black Cat, which technically you can say is on the They show Negative, everybody.
And he's like, oh yeah,
and he's like, okay, like there's actually a challenge there that might be worth my while.
Right.
And then you get confirmation that Craven is basically on the way to come take over New York. Which.
He took over.
I will say he definitely kept his word on that. I mean, I would say his crew. I mean, the way that his crew kind of like took places over for him too, it
Yeah.
was similar to kind of like what Fisk's men did in the first game. I would say,
Yeah.
in a way. Um, it was pretty cool because a lot of I liked a lot of those fights.
Me too.
And I mean, was that also? I could be wrong on this. I'm just trying to think. Was that how the flame did it originate from those missions?
No, no, the flame was his own little thing. It
That
was
was its
yeah, it was
own
like it was
side
like
thing
it
that
was like
started.
basically a flame is like the cult,
The cult, yeah,
or
that's
was like
right. I
obsessed
didn't
with
know, but
yeah.
I had thought maybe that you did like one of those side missions with Craven, and then like you somehow maybe that's what happened to
Well,
me, and
you
that's
yeah,
why
I
I
think you
think it
stumbled upon this other cult that's obsessed with burning
would burn.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right,
But
that's right.
the hunters, they were their own thing. But it was always funny listening to their they're like when you're like, doing like missions where you're like basically like breaking into like one of their heists or areas where they've taken over, and they're just like, oh, this city, I live for the hunt. Oh gosh, like bro, they're just obsessed with like someone like killing their prey. Like they treat everything like it's like enjoyable, even death. They're
Right,
like they
right.
see death as like another challenge, or like it was.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. But it
Um,
was super funny just always hearing them just like they're like, I wonder what's like. I wonder if they're gonna be able to challenge Craven. Like they, like
right.
I'm just
Yeah.
like these dudes are freaking weird. But I mean that's how
No,
they
I
are.
mean there's it was cool though. I mean there was a lot going on in the city. I mean,
Yeah.
you already had the big start with Sandman, and then you get the the notification that Craven's basically on the way.
Right.
Just a couple more things I wanted to hit on too, because we were already speaking a little bit about the new controls.
Yeah.
New controls. That's kind of what I wanted to say. Just the interface of how you used your gadgets, and
They changed it.
like they changed it from
Yeah.
like the first couple games, and to be honest with you, for the better,
Me
because
too.
I loved the way that
Yeah.
it felt way easier to use.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you want a game necessarily to become easier, but
Right.
it felt like you essentially like had to pause the game
Yeah. Slow
in
down.
the first couple games to switch gadgets or to switch certain things, and in this
Yeah.
game they figured out a way to make it a little bit more kind of smooth, or there was still a couple things you did have to kind of, I believe that
Yeah.
you still did have to pause for, but like it wasn't as noticeable or as
Right.
like, I guess, um combat breaking as maybe
Yeah.
you would say it was in the first game. It just felt a lot more smooth in terms of combat, I would say, in this game as well.
I agree.
New moves that you
I
were able to
agree.
use, more so when we get into the different suits that that Peter begins to take over or take on throughout the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the I did want to talk about the new controls, and just also real quick too with Harry. Um, he's back now, and he has this, essentially this whole kind of idea or um goal to basically start the Emily May Foundation with Peter, which
Founded or named after their mothers.
mothers, yeah, they're a
Yeah.
combination of their mothers' names,
Oh no.
or not mothers, but mother, or well, his mother, and
Yeah.
then
Aunt May.
Aunt May's name.
Yeah.
And that basically it's been kind of their childhood goal that they've had since they were younger, to kind of
Right.
their vision to quote unquote save the world,
Make a difference.
which and make a difference, which kind of takes on its own meaning towards the end of the game in terms of saving the world. So
Yeah.
in the way that they kind of have to do it together. I mean, it kind of becomes even like more drastic, which we'll touch on that too. But I did just kind of want to like give I guess, just basis of kind of like, Harry's back. That's kind of what he's kind of his goal, and he's here to do, especially now that he's feeling better and he's not as sick as he once was.
Yeah.
And then MJ is working for the Daily Bugle,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is just kind of funny.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It makes
it's
sense,
cool.
but
She's a
it
journalist.
is funny though.
Yeah.
Just
No,
how they
it's
did
like
it.
kind of like they really changed that dynamic.
Like that dynamic is a lot
of
different.
like
Yeah.
Peter. We're always known for him working for the Daily Bugle, working for Jonah Jameson, but he's kind of trying to teach and has actually decided to really work with Harry. Well, he gets fired on his first day. Going back to the Sandman fight, he gets fired because he leaves the students unattended during this huge epidemic of the fight. But the principal doesn't see it that way, so he gets fired. And then luckily, his buddy happens to come back right on time, offer him a job. So he takes that on. But that I thought that dynamic was Really interesting. I honestly, you bringing that up, I really didn't like think about it now, but it's just interesting that she does work for the Daily Bugle. And that's usually somewhere where
Where Peter would work.
Peter will work.
Yeah.
It's
Taking pictures and
it's
stuff.
usually Mary Jane is always like an actress or anything, but like in this iteration, she's like a journalist.
Yeah, she's a journalist.
So
yeah,
which is pretty cool.
no, it is. I think
change.
it is pretty cool. I do like. Yeah, I do like it. I mean, they can honestly do whatever they really want, but I mean, it is a cool it is a cool little kind of twist, I guess we can call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but I guess the next thing that we can talk about, I mean, is just kind of, I mean, we can continue on into the story a little bit here, because I mean, once Craven gets, once Craven does get to New York, I mean, he
takes over.
Yeah, he does take over, and his first objective isn't even Spider-Man. Like, that's not even what he's there for. He's there to just find anybody and anyone that could basically
give him a challenge.
And he starts basically hunting
all the villains,
the old Sinister Six, essentially, or at least some of them.
Yeah.
Because we see Craven capture Scorpion.
Rhino.
Yeah. Well, we don't. Do we see him capture Rhino?
We don't see it, but I mean,
well, then there was that leak, of the player that found a kind of like a out of bounds room or something like that had like Rhino's head on a plaque and Scorpion's.
And Electro, Shocker.
It was So were they all on there? I forgot. I don't know if they were all on there, but either way, yeah.
Well, so I don't know if Shocker
he starts essentially just trying to hunt down everybody, and we see Craven start to take over, and then I believe he at one point he starts to notice who Spider-Man is. Like, he kind of starts to realize who Spider-Man is, but then ultimately what he becomes or he's going after is the symbiote, because what he sees is what I guess is taking over Peter, essentially.
Well, first initially his interaction with the symbiote is Harry decides he wants to fight crime.
Right. Yep.
So Harry's like this basically vigilante as well, and it's kind of cool seeing
it. Was cool.
Yeah, you get to see little missions with Peter and Miles and he's helping out and everything, and then that's when they run into basically Craven and his hunters, and Peter tries to fight Craven and basically gets his ass whooped.
Right.
And basically Craven, I mean, let's be real, he killed him. And then Harry goes wild and beats his ass.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you are right.
Basically, beats his ass, and then he goes back to Peter, and basically Peter, I don't know, it looked like he died.
On the verge of death.
On the verge of death.
Very close. He was seeing the light. I mean, whatever you want to say. I mean, he was basically there, and then kind of in that moment, Harry's kind of basically holding Peter's shoulder, and the symbiote essentially chooses. Because this is why I think that Norman scene is not a dream and actually happened, because
he was wearing the symbiote.
He was already because he was wearing the symbiote, and because of the symbiote's characteristics, right? Like it's supposed to choose its host, not be given. And then, obviously it could go find one and take over. And not saying it couldn't have done that to Harry. But in this case, when Peter's on the ground, essentially dying, like, we were saying after his fight with Craven, he's holding on to him, and the symbiote essentially chooses, or maybe, because from what I remember, I don't think Harry, even from what he says that he did it on purpose. I thought
I think he's recognizing. I think the symbiote saw that. He probably sees how powerful of a host Peter is, because he has the spider powers. And he was always kind of, anytime Peter would come near it, it would act really weird. It was attracted to it, yo, this dude's powerful. So he touches him, and then it sees that he's dying, and then it just basically goes and switches hosts, and then it heals him. And then Peter basically jumps back with the Spider-Man black suit.
Has he's black suit Spider-Man, which was crazy. I mean, we get a few iterations of, I guess, black suit Spider-Man in this game. We get the I guess initial once he takes the symbiote, that suit was a pretty cool suit in the game,
Yeah.
I would say.
Honestly,
And then
that was my favorite
that was your
iteration.
favorite iteration of it,
Yeah.
and then I
Well,
would say my favorite iteration of it was when he starts becoming an asshole. And the suit starts to change
oh yeah.
kind of with
Looks like
that
his own roids.
with that rage. It's like between black suit and between Venom. It's
Yeah.
like he's like almost there kind of. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that iteration of the suit to me was the coolest looking, just
Yeah.
because it just to me it just looks badass.
Yeah, it was his own unique
and
entity.
and I just, as much as it was kind of like sad in like throughout the whole game, seeing Peter being, you know, dicks to everybody he loves, some of the lines that dickhead Spider-Man were pulling off were hilarious to me. I was loving some of this stuff, dude. It was some of it was way too far for sure.
Well, yeah, it was just brought out all of it. I mean,
yeah.
Peter holds a lot of bad.
A lot of bad
yeah, he holds things back. He always uses like humor, and you know that's just how he is. He's just witty. But it was cool to kind of see him like let loose, and then you see him the way he even fights. Like, let's get into like just the black suit.
Oh yeah,
mechanics.
I mean it completely changes.
Changes everything. Honestly,
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like you web sling faster with the suit. At least
You
that's
think
how
you moved a little bit quicker?
maybe that was just me. It felt
Maybe.
different, but it was just like the suit, the dynamic, the fighting, the gameplay. You just felt like you felt invincible. Like I didn't struggle. I wasn't like, I feel like, you know, as Spider-Man, you're evasive. You're doing all these things. Like I could be a brute with the suit, like just beating. Especially when he goes into rage mode. He's just
Oh yeah, so yeah, no,
Yeah.
good point that you bring up rage mode, because rage mode, that kind of introduction into rage mode was actually one of the things that I thought was really cool. Not only because just kind of like the visual effects of it, the VFX were pretty dope. That like when it happened, but you were basically just one shotting everybody. You were just throwing haymakers to anyone and anybody that wanted it, and it was cool because if you had rage mode available, say you were like low on health, it could get you out a lot of situations. You know what I'm saying, and help you get back up to full health and not have to worry about anything. But no, yeah, dude, rage mode was sick. I mean, Black Suit Spider-Man in general. I mean, just that arc of him kind of getting the suit to initially loving it, you know, thinking it's making him essentially a better Spider-Man, which you could argue it definitely was.
Definitely did.
Definitely was.
Yeah.
In the long run, definitely not.
Definitely not. Yeah, it started to change his personality. He started becoming more of a dick. Like, I mean, we can even talk about the whole sequence of like his relationship with Miles kind of
deteriorates a little bit, like in just how he's acting.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's ignoring him.
Yeah, and that was those are kind of the parts that I didn't really like, is when you know he's essentially like in the dialogue where he's essentially acting like he's doing everything himself, and it's like that's not even close to being the case.
Yeah, Miles is
I guess in Peter's defense, at when he does kind of start to really get really asshole-ish or whatever you want to call it, and is really being a dick and thinking that he's literally doing everything and everything himself. That is the point actually when I'm pretty sure when Miles gets captured by Craven and he gets taken to go fight Mr. Negative in that pit. And that whole arc was pretty wild too, because you know you kind of see, you know, Miles go from complete rage towards Mr. Negative to them both kind of understanding each other. Mr. Negative getting a full understanding of why Miles is as angry as he is at him. And but ultimately, Mr. Negative knows that he doesn't want to do any bad. He just wants, just wants this to get out, be left, get out of him or whatever. And that interaction and fight, I think, was probably one of the
that was
fights
epic
in the game.
I agree. I think that's kind of slept on. Mr. Negative's like perspective as far as why he did everything he did, like his reasoning. I'm glad Miles was able to get through to him, because I'm like, how do you not see that you messed up, bro? Like, you were running like a nonprofit organization and you went far left, like hard, out of revenge and everything. Like, I mean, Aunt May, she died.
They both kind of get through to each other in a way, and over the course of that scene, right?
So he realizes that he was responsible for Miles's dad's death, but he was responsible for a lot of people's death. So I was like, how did you like? I don't know if the powers like corrupted his mind or something, but it was just like, dude,
probably puts him in like some sort of trance or something.
And his powers are kind of dark too. Like, he was really mentally messing with Miles. Like when he went through the world and he was like just like trying to break him. I'm like, dude, this is dark. Like,
100%.
Miles could have really went far left and and killed him.
Oh, 100%.
But he
I mean,
chose.
he seemed like he wanted to in the
Yeah.
beginning of the game.
Yeah, and I guess that's really going back to the teachings of what Peter taught him. Like, we're supposed to be better, we're supposed to save these people,
Yeah.
no matter what the cost. So it was just like really cool to see him like choose like, nah, I'm gonna be different. And it was also cool to see how maybe it was Miles maturing, or maybe his powers interacting with Mr. Negatives and how it changed his powers.
Yeah.
That was sick, right?
Yeah, no, I did like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like that whole arc overall, just because you kind of just go from like these two people just kind of being on complete opposite sides to coming together to then eventually getting, I mean, and I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but they eventually get to a point where they both end up saving Peter again later on in the game.
Oh yeah. We can
which I don't want to, I won't skip too far ahead yet, because there were two side missions that I wanted to give a big shout out to. And these were definitely two missions that definitely hit home. For maybe one of them was not so much from the first game, but the one was the Howard Pigeon mission.
Oh wow! Good.
It was such a sad. I mean, it was such a sad. It was beautiful. The entire mission was beautiful, but
it was sad
because Howard, he dies at the end. I mean, you're essentially kind of what you're doing is Howard wants to give all of his pigeons that he has like a good home, essentially, for when he's gone, what he knows is essentially about to happen. And he's basically asking. I did this mission. I'm really glad I did do it, because I did see other people do this. I guess there wasn't really, how some missions did have like requirements, like you need to be this specific one, you need to be. I don't think this mission had a requirement on which Spider-Man you were. And I'm really glad I did it with Peter.
I know I did with Miles, but I watched the story with Peter because Peter has been through like being in love, and he was talking about his wife and everything, and like, because I mean, he was going through dementia, right? So he was like losing his memories and all that. I think that's why it was so heartfelt, because he's talking. I think
Are you mixing up the other? Are you mixing up the other mission that I might bring up?
Oh yeah, I am mixing up. I think you're mixing. I'm mixing up the grandpa who lost his way.
Howard's just on his way out. Howard's just.
Wow, I didn't see that one.
You didn't see the Howard Pigeon mission, bro?
I didn't play that one, but I saw the one where
you saw Grandfather Earl. You did that one where he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that one, one too. There's was it at the zoo? I'm pretty sure there's like a girl, and
she was trying to find
her grandfather, and
that's the mission I was talking about.
I did that one as Miles.
Oh yeah.
Which that one didn't matter either.
But no, the story, the dynamic was different with Peter, because that's why I got mixed up. But Peter was talking to him, and he was like, "Have you ever been in love?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've been in love." He's like, "Love is a beautiful thing," because they're sitting in front of this.
Oh wait, no, I did both of these with Peter then. Yeah, no, I remember that. Okay, I did both of these with Peter then, but I'm really glad I did the Howard one. Yeah. So you remember the Howard mission though, right, from the first game?
I do remember that.
So he's like, you have to go like find all his pigeons and stuff and bring them back. Yeah. Well, so in this game, Howard's like basically dying.
Wow.
And he's like asking you to go take his pigeons to. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm kind of.
No, you're good.
But he asks you to go like take his pigeons to like basically different parts of New York, like with different like biomes, kind of technically for them. Yeah. So they all have like their own little home, like for when he's gone, and then like. Wow. You go deliver all these pigeons, and then as you're swinging back and you're seeing like him being taken away. Like,
wow, that's heavy,
dude. I'm not gonna lie, I was tearing up.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, what the fuck, man? You guys are making me do this right now. I'm delivering this guy's pigeons again.
Wow, they had two side missions like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Grandfather Earl was another one. It was another sad one because he was going through dementia, and why that's why he was on that bench and whatever, because he was like what he was looking at.
It's a statue of his wife.
Yeah, he was statue
of his wife.
He was like just helps him remember or whatever.
Yeah, and then
I'm glad you brought that one up too. I'm glad you mixed it up, because those were the two that I wanted to bring up. So I guess we kind of intertwined it. They were both sad. Those were the two missions I really enjoyed, but they were also really really sad at the same time, because they were. Basically, two guys kind of. I don't think Grandfather Earl died or anything. I think he was just sitting there. He was just talking.
He was just basically
chilling,
going through dementia and all that. And then he his granddaughter eventually finds him, thanks Spider-Man, and then they just sit together, and it's a beautiful moment. But it was just like you could tell like the creators really took their time and crafted great side missions rather than like just goofy things like, and that stood out. And I mean you can see how it resonated even like through social media, like because that was a big couple missions that people talked about, those two side missions.
Yeah.
So nah, I'm happy you brought that up. That was
Yeah.
that was great. It's great. But let's get back into
the story.
Yeah, no, but there was one that I also wanted to bring up, like the mission where your black suit's still Spider-Man and the whole lizard chase.
Oh, well, because
That
I mean, that's technically
was
kind of like
bananas,
oh, well,
bro.
dude, I mean, that's technically too that's like the next part in the story,
Man.
really, because after I mean, dude, the lizard chase was insane. The
You're
fight was
switching
crazy.
yeah, the fight was
The fight was crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're essentially and I mean, in this game, Doc Connors, who gives him the serum? Doesn't someone give it to him at like the lab or some shit?
Wait,
How
yeah.
does he get turned? I forget. I'm like
It's
blank.
Craven. Craven gives him.
Craven come back
captures him,
and then gives
he's
it to
like,
him.
I want to see you in your form. And then
Yeah.
Mary Jane's like, yo, they're trying to get him back, like trying to get him the serum again. And then Craven takes the cure and is wearing it around his necklace or around his
That's right. Yep.
neck and all that.
Yep.
But
and then so you have to like break him out or whatever. He gets turned or I forget what and then he starts running around the city. You have to chase him,
destroying everything.
and then you fight him down below.
Yep.
And then
that's how you get him back.
That's how you and then you get him back to normal.
Peter's just going reckless.
And then
remember those dialogue where he's like, no wonder why your family left you. You're weak.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, dude. No, that was the part that I was like, they were having me crack up, and I was like, damn, bro, why you doing him like
so
this?
Weak.
Yeah, he's just calling him out for everything.
Like, yo, all right. Okay,
yeah, so that's when he's really becoming a dickhead, and and
he says to Harry too.
Yeah, and we see, and so so I guess fast track. I mean, we won't spoil too much of the fight, but it's fucking awesome to chase him.
One of the best fights.
Chasing him, 100% one of the best fights in the game, no questions. Top 3. Safe to say?
Top 3.
Yeah. No, that's definitely safe to say because Craven's not even in the top 3 for fights. So get out of here, dude. With this, we're getting into it. I'm glad we're getting here because I've been ready to blow up. This is my only issue with this game at the moment, honestly, is you guys failed when it comes to the fights with Craven. My opinion, it was just not because so after you get Doc Connors back to normal. Pretty sure at this same time, isn't Miles fighting Craven?
Miles gets captured and
you have to like find Miles and then when you fight Miles, so you're trying to find Miles, and then it becomes to the point I think you fight Miles. As Miles, you fight Craven. I think a little bit, from what I remember.
You fight him a little bit,
but
it
wasn't much.
It was more in Doctor Negative,
it wasn't.
It wasn't too much.
It wasn't too much, and then then you find Miles, but instead of fighting Craven, you fight Miles as Peter, or Peter fight. I forget which one you're controlling.
No, you fight. Black Suit fights Craven because when Miles and Peter fight, that's when he basically saves Peter from the Black Suit.
Well, no, I know, but Peter barely fights Craven though because you're mainly going there to then the bigger fight I thought was with Miles. In my opinion, the bigger fight of those two were with Miles.
No, Black Suit fights Craven. It wasn't as epic as.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, sorry, I'm wording this wrong. That's what I'm saying. Like you go and fight Craven, but it's pointless in my opinion. And then you fight Miles, which ultimately is the bigger of the two fights. And that's when Miles helps gets the suit off of Peter.
Yeah,
and they get it back into the vial or whatever that he then tries to take back to Harry to you know, keep him, you know, whatever happens. I forget exactly the whole course of events at this point since it's been a while since I played it.
No, yeah,
But
yeah, they get it back into the vial.
yeah,
He's wearing it. It's back.
yeah, and he's trying to take it back over. But yeah, dude, in my opinion, they just failed when it came to the Craven fights because you that fight with him is not that epic, and then
It should have been super.
and it should have been way bigger.
Yeah.
When and I'm not saying that he is because in my opinion he wasn't the big bad of this game. The big bad is obviously Venom. It's obviously the symbiote.
Right, but Craven spent. I mean, you're spending majority of the time fighting Craven's goons, like, and like his whole. Yeah, he. I mean, he comes. He basically takes over the city.
Maybe that's what I have an issue with. Maybe I have
the
the issue that I mean it kind of was the issue in the first game with Fisk in a way. I mean, it kind of like you fight Fisk at the beginning, and then I think you see him one more time after he like tries to break out of prison. I think in the first game or something. I forget it. You know, whatever. But it's like. It's almost the same thing. Like you're fighting his men more than, and I know I mean, I get it, but like, I don't know, dude. I just felt like Craven was built up as this huge big bad. And I'm not saying he didn't come to New York and tear shit up. He definitely did. But when it came down to the big three or big four at the end, being Miles, Peter, Venom, and him, he was the softest of all four. Like he was I don't know.
No, I will say like you brought this up before, like we had discussions off air, but I mean Craven deserved more. Like it should have been more of like I thought the fight was good, but it should have been better in the sense of like Peter deserved a rematch after he got the black suit off him, like the symbiote off him. There should have been another fight. That was his fight to really beat Craven. So I think they build him up to be such a like fierce, and he's taking out the Sinister Six, who, by the way, I mean you fight all of them in the first game.
Yeah.
But I mean Peter got his ass whooped, you know, trying to fight them. So, but Craven was able to take them down easily, it seems like, and capture them. So it should have been another fight. We deserved another really big epic fight with Craven. I love this character. I love that he was obsessed with finding the rightful challenge, and then he found this challenge with Venom.
Yeah, I love the lore about him for sure.
But I don't think he should have went out like that. I think it should have been kind of a situation where he survived this fight with where eventually he fights Venom.
Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, that's pretty close to. So after Miles and Miles saves Peter from the black suit,
fight,
which was wild, and then him breaking it off him and everything. That was nuts. They get it back in the vial, and then the goal is that
to go save Harry.
He's gonna go take this back to back to Harry, but he's also taking it back to Doc Connors to kind of like analyze and figure out exactly what they need to do.
Honestly wants to destroy it because of how much it changed, though.
Well, yeah, no, he does, and technically so does Doc Connors. Doc Connors wants to as well.
Like, let's get rid of this.
But when Peter thinks he's going to meet, because I think he thinks he's going to see Doc Connors. I don't think he thinks he's going to take that. He doesn't think he's going to see Harry, but he goes back to the Emily May Foundation, and it's like basically Harry and nobody else waiting in there,
just chilling.
Waiting for him, chilling.
And Harry's going through basically like,
I mean, essentially what he went through in the first game, right?
Withdrawal. He's like, well, yeah, he's basically sick again. But
was he back on the cane?
Yeah, he's back on the cane. He's going through withdrawal.
Couldn't even walk.
I mean, Peter was a dick to him. It was like, yo, just stay on your meds. Remember, he wasn't helping the situation.
Well, yeah, because at that point Harry's pissed,
right?
Because like, Peter's already been an asshole. He thinks that he's gonna be getting this symbiote back for days, weeks, maybe at this point now.
He's like calling up Miles and then he's like, hey, is there anything I can do to help you guys? I really need that. I really need the symbiote, Peter. Like, and he's like, he just leaving them like voicemails. But nah, and then
so they kind of get into it in the Emily May Foundation, and kind of during that fight, Peter drops the vial and it breaks, and Harry gets the symbiote back.
Yeah,
and not only does Harry get the symbiote back, we get full on Venom.
Yeah.
Harry turns into Venom at this very point in time, and this is really, in my opinion, when hell really breaks loose in the city, because he's really, and this is why I say Venom was, in my opinion, because you know how we were talking about, I think on a while back, maybe in the Upon Us episode, um who is really going to be the big bad, like
Yeah,
we're
we're
you know
trying to
they,
figure it
we
out.
don't know if it's going to be really be Venom or Craven, because they're always bringing some surprise twist. I
Yeah,
think it is very clear that the big bad is, you can, what do you want to call it, Venom or the symbiote. It is that combinate, that is the big bad of this
right.
game, that ultimately causes the ultimate hell to break loose
Yeah.
inside New York.
What was cool too is, and I don't know if you noticed this, but like with when you're using the black suit with Peter, it was always leaving this goo around the city,
Hmm.
and it's like it all came back full circle when Harry takes the symbiote and becomes Venom. It's like all that marking basically like polluted the city, and that's how it. That's
Well,
why
yeah,
everything was able to
because he,
spread
yeah,
the way
because
it
he,
did.
and then he wanted to, like,
Yeah.
basically, I think I don't know if they specifically said this. I might have just saw this in video. Maybe it was a theory, but I don't. There was something about the bells and how that worked too, and like that
Oh
was an
yeah, the
easy
sonar.
way
Yeah.
of like even spreading them even more, because then it makes them go nuts and then like goes out and then
Oh,
tries to run.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah, dude,
that.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I
I
said,
don't know
I
about
think that might have
that.
been a theory. Like they were basically trying to say like like with all that being like how you said spread out around the
Yeah.
city, that he was going to use like that bell system to like kind of like essentially make it spread out even more and go nuts, and like
Well, I don't know about
no,
that.
that, like I
Yeah,
said, I think this
because
might have just been a
yeah,
theory in a different
no,
video that
because
I.
the sound is
But
makes it weaker. It
his
makes it
goal was,
weaker. It doesn't spread it. It like weakens the symbiote in general.
well, no, like I'm saying, like make it go
Yeah.
crazy, and
Uh.
then like want to
Yeah.
like because after it goes crazy, it then
Yeah.
goes fucking nuts to then try and find a host or try to find somewhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think like that was
That's
like I said,
interesting
it was
there.
probably a theory. I don't think it
Yeah.
was actually, because I don't remember them talking about any bell system in the game or anything that Harry
No.
was going to
Yeah.
use. But uh but Harry's ultimate goal, though, and kind of like I mentioned earlier with saving the world and how it kind of comes, or eventually comes full circle, his goal and
Right.
his idea at this point to save the world
The symbiote's
becomes
goal.
that the symbiote is what. And I did write this down. It's almost a flashback to Amazing Spider-Man 2 lizard style shit, where Doc Connors thinks that the ultimate goal is to turn everybody into lizards. Which I guess he doesn't really think that, but just him as a lizard thinks that
Right.
everybody needs to be lizards to be cured within the city, because that's what cured him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Harry's goal then too is eventually, or essentially, turn everybody into symbiotes,
Yeah.
or or versions of
Right.
little versions of Venom running
Right.
around.
The symbiote just fully corrupted his mind. He's like,
Yeah.
"This is what you need. Like, this is what we need."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that was you're in like the end game when the city just goes full symbiote dark and all that. I was like, "Oh boy, well, we're here. Venom's taking over the city."
Yeah. So and then I'm kind of maybe blanking on exact direction of the story, because you get the anti Venom suit before,
The
like
final
before the
fight.
final fight, right?
Yeah.
Like way before the final fight, though, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, not. I wouldn't say two-way. It's probably like
But it was
it's
during a Venom fight, though, wasn't it? Like, weren't you fighting Harry, and then like something, because it didn't
no.
Mr. Negative say like there was something that because he had it, or because, or maybe it was Doc Connors who said this,
Yeah.
because
He still had
he
some of the
still had
symbiote
some
in
of it
him.
in him. And
So basically, you're fighting some of these symbiotes. Like, so basically,
that's
yeah,
right,
Venom takes
yeah.
over and he's like turning everyone to freaking symbiote.
Little
Venom
screams, little
screams. Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Turns MJ to one. She
Yeah,
becomes a super powerful one, and you fight her, which was pretty epic.
it was a pretty
Also,
cool fight.
yeah, but like basically, he's turning everyone to symbiote hosts and all that. And during the time where Peter, they're on it's a mission, and he's fighting a symbiote, they like swarm him, and then basically it interacts the symbiote that he still has in him, and then it basically starts freaking out, and then Mr. Negative is good now after the fight with Miles, and he goes in and they go into a subconscious, and then there's the whole mission with that, and you realize that, which was kind of pretty sad. They go in the deepest part of his subconscious, and you see that he's still really grieving over
Yeah,
Meg's
man.
death.
Yeah.
And then that's
Yeah, I
when
didn't want to relive that shit, dude.
yeah,
Yeah, I was sad. I was sad
that
during
was
that one
sad.
too.
That was really sad. But then
And no,
yeah.
no, keep going, keep
No,
going.
and then that's when they, Mr. Negative does the ultimate sacrifice of really exercising the symbiote from him in a strange way, but also like keeping it there too. So
Yeah, right.
it reverses, it changes it to
Into just like a suit,
yeah, it's
essentially.
like, well, I mean, he still has the the
Right.
symbiote suit, but it's like
Yeah.
the opposite of it. Basically purifies anyone.
The bad. Yeah.
Yeah, the bad symbiote, which is pretty cool. I mean, like to wait the way they twisted the anti venom suit, because the anti venom suit. I mean, Harry in the comics has always had like or dealt with some illness or he's had a form of cancer, and then when he I guess it wasn't Harry, it was Eddie Brock who after wearing the venom suit for so long for years, and you know it's basically it's like a host, you become one with the symbiote and all that. His body basically created like antibodies which basically came out of his pores, and that's what created the anti-venom suit. So it was cool to see Peter actually
Being the one
to get it. They did such a cool creative twist, like
with the well, and
like
it's cool you mentioned that too, because
yeah.
it was just cool to see kind of Mr. Negative too kind of right his wrongs and kind
Yeah.
of like his arc in the game. I mean, from you know the first game to
right.
the second. I mean, he wasn't in the second game at all.
No.
And then the obviously this game, just that his arc of just like going from like complete kind of insane dickhead
Right.
to well, but puts on a show to be a good guy, to then ultimately, you know, kind of realizing what he did wrong, fixing everything, not everything, but he obviously because he can't fix everything, but he wrote as much right as he could at the end, and then turns himself, you know, keeps his word with and turns himself into the police.
Peter even points it out. He's like, "Wow, you reformed one of your greatest villains, something I've never been able to do." Which I was like, "Damn, I mean, that's kind of true."
Yeah,
but that was a cool little like reform. I'm interested to see what they do with him in the future, like if we'll see him in the Spider-Man 3.
right.
So,
you know, it will be interesting. I guess just real quick too before we get into this last, we don't have to go into any of these too much in any detail, because we do need to talk about the ending here before we get into our next little segment. But a couple more side missions that I did kind of want to mention. Obviously, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but the flame. You obviously see that, you know, that guy take, you know, he's in it, and he is it Cassidy? Is it actually his name? Did they name him?
I don't know if it's Cassidy.
I don't know if that's his actual. That's why I wasn't.
Yeah.
That's why I said that guy and I didn't say his name.
Yeah, they went with I think they went with someone different.
But
it was
either
it was
way,
clearly as crazy.
The flame, the flame leader essentially steals a bit of the actual symbiote. He manages to get some of the symbiote away. That's kind of in a side mission, and he does reference the word carnage. He says there will be carnage. So that is likely, I would say, either going to be potential DLC or maybe just future villain of the next game. We also, it's not really, I don't know if we do too many, I don't think we do a mission of this, but we see a side little, we see like a cutscene of Chameleon. We see his which is technically, he's like a half related, or I forget his direct relation. He's related to Craven. I forget exactly how, but he's like his half something brother or not, whatever. But Chameleon essentially is, you know, he's a chameleon. He can, you know, blend in well with his surroundings. Because we talked about it earlier, MJ, well, we didn't talk about it specifically, we talked about MJ a little bit. Her side missions were not that bad this time.
No, they weren't.
They were way better.
They were so much better.
They were way better. You got to use a little weapon, kind of.
Yeah,
and
they went kind of third person over the shoulder shooter, especially towards the end of the game,
right?
Which I really enjoyed. It kind of gave me like horror elements, which was kind of cool. I don't know if you got that vibe.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so I thought, they were so much better, better.
Yeah, so I would say, they were so much better. I'm glad they did, and I'm glad they kept him and tried him again and didn't just completely scrap him.
Right.
Because I mean, like, you know, people like us that didn't, because I will admit I did not care for him in the first game.
No, I didn't either.
And it was just like a waste of time in my opinion. But yeah, no. So I'm glad they did him. You know, rethought him out and actually kind of made him, you know, more fun. And so yeah, no, those were sick. Also, the Black Cat mission. I wanted to mention that as well because we get kind of a reference to Wong in the Sanctum Sanctorum with Doctor Strange. Well, they're neither Doctor Strange or Wong are in the game, but there's I believe a note from Wong. I think there was something that was in the game if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
But anyway, there you have that side mission with Black Cat where you're essentially like jumping through the portals, and then
That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Real quick too, we'll just lightly touch on that. We wish you guys would have used Black Cat just a little bit more.
Yeah. Need DLC
because I hope which would be kind of funny, but yeah, I would take it. Yeah, I would take it. I would take it. I would definitely at this point I'll take any DLC with this game, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Let's see. Anything else? No, yeah. We got real quick, I guess last one, Spider-Bot side mission. There was mention of Miguel. So there's obviously some multiversal talk within the game. So we don't know what that future kind of holds, but kind of maybe gets us excited a little bit that there potentially could be I don't know, more spider people pop up. I don't know, because I mean, I guess at this point it wouldn't be too hard for them to really make them. It's same mechanics and everything. So, maybe the future next Miles game when it's his game, maybe he ends up getting another spider person. I hope they don't do that. Like, I hope if they do that, I hope it's more of like a Yuri kind of thing where it's like, oh, you just see him help you on like some side missions type deal.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting that there is mention of Miguel with the whole spider bots thing. So I'm wondering if maybe we end up seeing more Spider-Verse stuff in the future with future games.
I mean, I think so. The creator mentioned it, the passing of the torch.
Right.
It's Spider-Man 3 will be it's Miles' game.
Yeah. So I agree.
If they're gonna go that way, you can connect into the Spider-Verse's universe and even have some type of, the fact that they threw that in, it's like almost like an Easter egg of like, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. Like,
that's true. That is true.
We could have some type of interaction. I would personally love that. We talked about it like over the phone. We're just like, they had some sort of mission. Because you have the suits already, so it's doable. But how they would go about it.
This is a maybe out there theory, but with the we already have Wolverine on the horizon with Insomniac Games coming out as well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we're ever gonna, or if maybe Insomniac's about to introduce another IP here soon of another hero, or maybe a couple more. I'm wondering if Insomniac's trying to do like a little like kind of like build up their own little Dynasty or Infinity War style deal with some of these people, because they've talked about the potential and connection, because they've heavily have confirmed that they are the same universe, and that there's very potential possible crossover potential in the future with Wolverine and Spider-Man, which would be dope. So
we'll see.
It would be kind of cool. It's already its own story, right? So it's not, I guess it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but I would be interested to see if they're like maybe trying to do their own little thing with it. Maybe they're trying to build up this little super team of Insomniac heroes.
Yeah, well, we'll see it like as far as what they decide to do with Wolverine. I think that'll show us the trajectory of where things can go.
The Insomnavengers. How's that? Does that sound good? No.
As long as they do it right.
Insomniac Enders.
I just don't want them to freaking don't oversaturate it. That's my thing.
Don't oversaturate the multiverse. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just leave. I like the fact that it's Spider-Man, Insomniac. If you want to make a Wolverine game, that's cool.
Well, they already are. We know that.
Yeah.
You're talking about combining the.
Yeah, but don't go and make like. I'm honestly against that, to be real.
Are you?
Yeah, if they're gonna make multiple Insomniac.
You like the multiverse, because I'm kind of more.
I like the multiverse, but I also don't want it to be over like them going.
Because I'll be honest with you, I've been getting tired of the I'm ready for. I'll be honest with you, I'm ready for some just normal. I'm not saying normal superhero movies, but like I'm ready for just stuff to go back. I'm ready for it to go back, not go back to where you like don't. How do I want to word this? I'm getting tired of the fact that you have to watch multiple different projects to like
Yeah.
understand what exactly is going on in a storyline. Does
No,
that
what
make sense?
that makes sense. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying as far as this in these games, like I don't want multiple Insomniac.
So you don't want them to do it in the game, but you're cool with it in the...
It's different.
Why is it different?
It's different because this is a whole that's a different conversation, TD. I'm saying like, I don't need multiple Insomniac. Okay, there's
I'm just trying to stir you up.
yeah, Insomniac like Daredevil. I mean, I would love a Daredevil.
That's what I'm saying. Insomniac Engines, bro. It's on its way.
But it's up to them, man. Like, and I think Daredevil, the mechanics would be probably too similar to Spider-Man. I don't know.
But that's why it's easy. But I don't. But it's dude. But Daredevil. When I said that, he's not swinging around on his grapple hook. He does use that, but it's not. He's not. He's got to move on his feet. Like he's got to run. Like you know, it's different.
I think in Insomniac, I don't know what their plan is.
Also, I think if they do have plans for Daredevil, if I'm being honest, I think Daredevil's potential DLC for this game because of the removal and then add back of the Murdoch sign in the game, which had fans talking that it was gone. And then they did add it back eventually. And then there was also another like side room thing, and this wasn't out of bounds. This is something you could actually just go find, and like if you were just like looking in, you're like looking in through like different buildings. You're walking down alleyways. There's like what looks to be a shop, but if you look inside it, it looks like what potentially could be a room for the Hand, which is a Daredevil. It's they're big in the whole Daredevil series. And I mean, I guess technically I would assume in the comics Spider-Man probably meets them at some point, but I have personally never read that. But anyway, I mean, I think it's I'm with you, dude. I don't need them to go make a multiverse in this shit. I'm like wondering though if that's like kind of like what their plan is with like Wolverine teasing potential future stuff, because even like you said, the creative director, he in one of his interviews was like kind of teasing at the fact that there potentially could be some Daredevil stuff. So it's like you know so it's like who knows, man. Like I mean it's definitely possible, but I'm with you, it's not needed. Needed. It'd be cool. It'd be cool. So you don't want it at all? You wouldn't want it at all? You wouldn't like, even if they like try to do a little take on it?
That means that they have to commit to making Insomniac making Marvel projects for like the next 20 plus years.
That's true.
I mean, they've made some other properties that are pretty fire. Honestly, we can talk about another episode. Like I go in about Insomniac's a great studio, and I would love for them to like work on some other projects that I loved growing up. So
yeah. So I guess real quick, just to kind of end it, we didn't really talk about the ending of the game, but as you probably would have guessed, the ending is
Peter versus
Peter versus Harry or Venom technically, and before you go into that fight, you through the help of Doc Connors come to the realization that there is probably no way to save Harry at this point. You either he said Harry has basically bonded with the symbiote at this point so much, and they become one, that to basically remove the symbiote, you have to kill Harry too. Which as you can assume probably, and as happens through the fight, you do get the symbiote off of Harry, but he does not live. At least I was going.
Well, he lives.
He does, but it's like he does, but it's like with the assumption. He does, but it's like the assumption that it's like he's like I mean,
he's just like in a vegetative state.
Yeah, that's
much.
what I mean.
Like,
that I was
he's
trying
not
to find
really.
a word for it.
He's like basically just like. I mean, but hey, I mean, Norman asked for him to save him. He did save him. He didn't kill him. They brought him back. It was just like there was no way. I mean, he was freaking combined to this freaking host. He was already weak as it was. So like, what did you think was gonna happen? Removing something he's been so attached to. But did the best he could. But like, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think
we'll definitely see what happens. Norman was at the end. You see Norman get really upset with well, both Spider-Mans technically. I mean,
Yeah,
at that point, he still doesn't know who they are.
right. And then he goes,
and then
Doc Ock.
yeah, and then you see this is the big spoiler here for the future, I guess, of the games.
Right.
Norman goes and sees Doc Ock in prison, and Doc Ock's dialogue is essentially, he's been preparing all this time. I forget the exact words, but he's essentially been preparing for the beginning of the end or whatever.
Right.
And Norman goes to him basically because he, wants to know, one, who Spider-Man is,
Yep.
but also because we think that they're going to team up together, I would assume, and reignite a new wave of villains for that next game.
So the way I interpret it, now I'm thinking about it, is it's almost like Doc Ock doesn't care about Norman.
Doc Ock doesn't care about shit, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he doesn't really care about shit, but he also like doesn't really care about Norman's situation. So he's like, I really don't really care to tell you like who they are, but it's like about time you felt some pain of your own. It was weird. He was like,
yeah,
he didn't really. He was like, yo. Like,
but I think what I think is gonna happen though is he is gonna tell him, and ultimately, like I think like they're gonna.
Yeah.
Here's my other wild theory, because I think if you remember from like kind of like that dialogue of when like Norman's panicking at the end when he thinks like Harry's dying again.
Yeah.
And he calls somebody, and he says, "Get the G serum ready." Remember that?
The Green Goblin serum.
So we obviously assume that means that Norman's going to turn in. He's going to fully turn into Green Goblin. He's going to test it on himself.
Yeah.
And it being that we know that Harry's not completely dead.
Yeah.
Do we get him as? Does he get the G serum too?
I hope not, man. Harry's been through enough. Let the dude rest
and become a villain.
No, I mean, he's already been the villain, so that's why I'm like. Hopefully, it's like
father and son goblin action.
Hopefully, it's kind of a situation where Norman just tests it on himself, and then he goes crazy, and then he realizes.
I'm just saying that wouldn't be a terrible fight. Norman and Harry versus Peter and Miles.
I mean,
it wouldn't be a terrible fight.
I think that's the thing right there. Going into like why it's becoming Miles's game. Like Peter's going on taking a break. He's like, I've been fucking Spider-Man for 8 years, like, and then I had to just fight my best friend. I know he's gonna come back to fight Norman.
He has to.
But I don't. My thing is like to fight Harry again with the G serum.
That was just out there.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna.
Yeah, I'm throwing shit at a wall, seeing if it sticks. I'm not really.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
But he'll definitely come back. But it's just the last thing I'll really say about that. It was good to see kind of like New York. Peter was like giving him his blessing, like New York will be fine with you, like
with Miles, which I'm pumped. I definitely agree. I think the next game is Miles' game. It needs to be Miles' game, and it needs to be on the level of Spider-Man 1 and 2 in terms of villains, but just Miles mainly being the one that is taking it on. However, if they do bring in Green Goblin, you better bring back Peter for that fight. It has to be Peter for that fight. It has to be.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't. That is the only requirement, I guess, that I have.
That's his arch nemesis.
Yes, that is. It is. Yeah.
It's like Green Goblin, Spider-Man. Yeah. Like that's his villain.
It is his. Yeah. It is his Spider-Man or his villain, like you said. So yeah, please. That is the only request I have is make the whole game 99% with Miles, and then give that 1% to Peter, and that's all I want. That's all I want.
I agree.
But yeah, so as a whole, what do you think of the game? What do you think of the game?
I think the game was great. I thought my only critique was I wish it was longer. But I think the game was incredible. It deserves, which we're about to get into, like its candidate for Game of the Year. It well deserves that.
I mean, it definitely. I mean, I loved it. Yeah. I think in terms of story, I think it blows the first two completely out of the water. I would say in terms of. I'll retract that a little bit because obviously the Aunt May. Like that story was in the Sinister Six and everything. It's like nostalgia. It's like tough to always compare that to any future edition of Spider-Man because it's like That's always
that was so
yeah,
epic.
it's always, you know, up there. But I would say just it's definitely better than the first two games. I think, like, just with everything that you can do. I think the story is very well put together and thought out, and very like heart wrenching and touching in certain places. Even in the main story, like not even those side missions like I mentioned earlier that were really sad. Like even in the main story, like there were parts you were like, "Fuck, man, like this is some shit." Like, and I was just like feeling like what they were feeling, like feeling what the characters were feeling. So for me, like I know you had just mentioned the game of the year, and I mean among the game of the year candidates. Legends of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Resident Evil 4, Baldur's Gate 3, and Alan Wake 2. Sliding Spider-Man 2 in there. Spider-Man 2 is my game of the year. I'll be honest, it's the only one I've played out of these four or five. Sorry, six.
Yeah.
He's played both Spider-Man 2 and Legends of Zelda. We both want to get Super Mario Brothers. But we both have not played Baldur's Gate, Resident Evil, or Alan Wake 2. I think you said something about getting Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, so with Alan Wake 2, I played the first one and I played the DLC, so I'm aware of the story and the mechanics of it, and they've taken this game to another notch. I've seen the trailers, I've been following it. I'm a huge fan of Remedy, the game studio who created this. They created Control, created, as I said, I think they created the Max Payne series. You ever played that? Old school.
Yeah. No, like when I was younger. Yeah. For sure.
And then they created this other game that I can't think of, but they've been trying to create this whole collective universe of like Alan Wake is in the same universe as Control, which is, like I just said, it dropped a couple years ago. But I'm excited to play that. I'm actually probably gonna buy it sometime this week. You know, it's basically continuing the story of Alan Wake, the original one, and it's a really dark.
So is it technically a horror game?
Yeah, I mean the first one was kind of like a survivor, like thriller horror game, but they take this to another level, and now it's really more of a horror game. Like he's been trapped in this like world for like the first one ends with like you basically being trapped in. You think you saved like the town, and you end up being trapped in this world, and then apparently it's like 10 years later, so he's been trapped in this world for 10 years, and he's like losing his mind, like
losing his shit.
Yeah, it's a dark game. It's something you have to play to understand it. It's this whole entity like of that's basically corrupting everything that it touches, and it's man, I just can't wait to see it, like, or to experience it. Like they brought on a lot of legit motion caption actors and all that, so but I will say the one I think is gonna win Game of the Year is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. It's just there's no question that game is almost perfect.
I think it's close. I think it's going to be between that and Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, but
because I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 either. I obviously haven't played any of these. For me, I really want to play Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I think that looks really fun. I really want to play Baldur's Gate 3. I think that looks really fun. I just don't. I'm not gonna go back and play Alan Wake 1, so I don't care about Alan Wake 2.
Well, they remade it. They remade it, so it's on PlayStation 5.
Is it cataloged?
Like remake.
But is it cataloged, or is it you gotta buy that shit?
Oh yeah, you have to buy
that shit. All right.
Yeah, but
maybe one day. Maybe one day.
It's a full remake.
Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. I'm just I guess as of right now, I have no interest in playing Alan Wake 1, so that's why I don't really, I guess, care about Alan Wake 2. Do not give a shit about Resident Evil. And then Super Mario Brothers Wonder, I really want to play that. But then Legends of Zelda, I would say is probably the only other one on here that like I would actually want to play.
Yeah, just play Breath of the Wild first.
I would actually go back and do that. But yeah, those are, I guess now you have an understanding of why Spider-Man 2 is my game of the year. It was probably going to be my game of the year regardless. I mean, maybe if I would have played Zelda, that could have changed things. But
let me dive into Tears.
Yeah, go ahead real quick, man.
Do that. Tears is, oh my gosh. Yo, if you're a Zelda fan and you haven't played this game.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're missing out. I mean, this game is perfect for anyone who loves open world. It's perfect for anyone who is just a creator in itself. I was just reading about this university. Um, this engineer professor gave his students told them to play Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and create basically a craft, some form of a craft, and also beat the game. They beat the game. They get an A+.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
That's
because
sick.
that's how much creativity the game has. It's limitless, bro. You can do whatever. You're constantly exploring. It's something that game that you can put 200 plus hours in. Like I'm close to beating it, but I've really been like taking my time with this game because I know I'll probably revisit it, but I usually after I beat a game, the likelihood of me revisiting it soon is pretty rare. So I like to really do as much as I can. With Tears is it's just great, man. It's a darker story. I mean, it's you get to see Link kind of in this element as far as you face off against, of course, Ganondorf, which is always typically the main villain of like the Zelda series. But I mean, bro, it's just I think why people love the game so much is just they don't hold your hand as far as telling you what to do in the game. You can play the game however you want, and there's just so much customizations. There's three maps. There's the sky map where you're basically in the skies, and then there's temples and things and shrines where you can go there, and then there's the mainland, which is similar to Breath of the Wild, and they basically completely revamped it from the Breath of the Wild game. And then there's the pillars or the caves, which are like this whole massive world, and maybe the biggest map, and you basically can explore that. It's completely dark. You're just going in blind. You can light up there, but it's so much mystery to the game and so many things that people are still unlocking with it. So tears tears definitely clears for sure. I think just the fandom in itself is just, even if the game was trash, they probably still find a way to put in a game of the year. But they don't make trash games. So
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, like, they can never go back with open world. Like, they open like once they decided to make an open world Legend of Zelda game, they can never like you're stuck with this, Nintendo. You can't not make games in this capacity with the next series. It has to be open world. So I'm curious what they're gonna do next. And yeah, I'm curious if well, I know it's probably gonna win Game of the Year. I mean, I haven't played the other games. Resident Evil 4 doesn't deserve really to be on that list. I mean, it's a remake. I mean, I heard it's a great game, but it's also a remake of a great game. So it's just like kind of cheating in a way. So.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Resident Evil 4 maybe took the spot of Hogwarts Legacy for me. That's at least one game that is off the top of my dome at the moment that I would put in that I think should be nominated for that category.
Why don't you think it didn't get nominated?
It was too early. The game came out. I think if it wasn't in January, it was in February of this year.
Wow.
So I mean, it was like literally like the first new game of the year. I mean,
You're
don't
right.
get me wrong, it was
loud too when it came out.
Yeah,
too.
no, there was a lot of hype about
there was a
it.
lot of
I mean,
hype.
it kind of revamped everyone's interest in Harry Potter in a way a little
Yeah.
bit, but like, and dude, that game is fucking awesome.
Any DLCs?
I don't.
Maybe that's where they went wrong with, Like,
well, so there was a lot of like, I forget exactly what there's a lot of stuff that came out after the initial release about like their future outlook, or like how they were going to kind of handle the game.
Yeah.
And one thing in that game that I think definitely like pissed a lot of people off was that they didn't have Quidditch.
Ooh, yeah.
They just I'm assuming they just didn't have the mechanic ready. Like
Yeah.
it just wasn't like there is a Hogwarts game, it's called Harry Potter. I think it's called Quidditch Champions or something like that. That's being made. I don't know exactly when it's going to release, but I know it's being made. That's all I'll say regarding that, just to not get in trouble.
Dude.
And
Wait, why would you get? All right,
I'll tell you after.
Yeah. I will say also, not to cut you off, but why is it not multiplayer? Did they not have the capacity? I think that's what maybe,
That also kind of hurt it a little bit.
like,
But
don't
I
you think
mean,
that would have
dude,
been
it would have been it would be sick. I think, but I think like that's also what I'm trying to remember exactly. I know that like that was a big thing. Quidditch not being in the game was a big thing, but there's a big storyline around Quidditch, and I do think at least when the game first came out, I thought that they'd maybe have intentions to eventually bring uh Quidditch into the game as a DLC or whatever, because I would have assumed that they had been working on it.
right.
But I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with that game at the moment. Like excuse me, current news like or whatever. I mean I loved it. I think the game was awesome. I think
Yeah,
if Resident Evil 4 is a remake, then I don't believe that should be on there. At the end of
I'm
the
with
day,
you.
I don't really care because I know as a Spider-Man fan,
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident in knowing, and I'm comfortable in saying this. Even though I believe it is game of the year, that's probably coming from a fanboy slash bias point of view at the same time. And having only played that game, I know it's not going to win game of the year. But don't put games on that either shouldn't be on there, or whatever that potentially other games could
yeah,
take the spot. Like I don't know,
I'm with you.
I don't. It is what it is, I guess. But I know Hogwarts. I believe Hogwarts Legacy was. I'm hoping it was nominated for some other stuff, like maybe music or like scores or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. I forget. But either way, I mean, it's a good game of the year list, I guess.
Baldur's Gate does
Yeah.
seem interesting.
Baldur's Gate seems fun. From what I've been told, it's kind of like it seems like almost like there's like a story mode, but then there's also like I guess like a campaign style like D&D kind of thing that you can do with friends, which that's why I really want to play that game. I think
Yeah,
that I've always wanted to try D&D. I've always wanted to try to like get a group together and like play Dungeons and Dragons. I think it'd be fun.
we should
Um,
figure that out.
try to figure that out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool. So yeah, that game definitely pulls in my interest a little bit. And I'm just gonna say this. This might be a hot take. I know Super Mario Brothers is a huge IP. I know that I've seen. I want to play the game. I know it probably is good, but along with Alan Wake 2, I'm more so calling out Super Mario Brothers Wonder here because that was the latest release, I believe, of this list.
yeah.
That
Didn't
was
it
the
drop
last.
November?
Yeah, it like just dropped. I if you're gonna say a game of the year candidate can be this when it just drops like 3 weeks or a month before the awards,
Hmm.
then you need to heavily reconsider then how you're putting Resident Evil 4 on there over like something like Hogwarts Legacy. That's just kind of my like
I
I
like
just
that. I respect it.
I don't like when games, and that's
No,
almost kind of like my I guess kind of issue with Alan Wake 2 in a way because they also released pretty recently, but it wasn't. I don't believe it was as recent as
it
Brothers
dropped
Wonder.
2 weeks after Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
fair then. That's
yeah,
totally fair then. Like that's totally cool. I have no issue with
yeah,
Alan Wake. That's specifically calling out Super Mario Brothers
yeah.
Wonder, but I know but
But look,
again, it's super fucking popular.
yeah.
Like the IP alone is carrying this shit
Let's revisit this
through.
after we play
Yeah.
it too. We're gonna all right,
Yeah.
maybe it was
Oh yeah,
good.
maybe it was fucking game of the year.
It does look it does
It
look
does
fun,
look good.
bro.
It
It
does
looks
look
so
good.
fun, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah,
knocking it, man.
yeah,
Because obviously, like I said, I want the game, so like
yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and shit on it. But like, I do have issues with
Nah, I feel you.
making one. How do you make the game of the year? Why do we settle on 6? Why can't you make it 10? Why can't there be 7? Why can't there be 8? If you're making it even numbers, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there should there's more games that deserve to be on here. That's all I'm gonna say. That's
Yeah,
how
no,
I'll end
I
it. That's how
definitely
I'll end
think,
it.
and I think the common thing as far as what got snubbed was Hogwarts, and it's like what you mentioned that I completely forgot. Like it came out in January, and I think, damn man, like it's
It
a
came, yeah. It was
it
like
sucks
like it was
the,
forgotten about.
it was, yeah,
It was forgotten about.
because
It was
it was the
forgotten about.
hype was so loud. I remember like for the first couple of months because it was like the big release, and it was like, oh wow, this game is actually really really good.
Now, bro,
And then I guess it got buried under all these other releases,
dude,
and it's like
imagine if they would have maybe thought of something to do.
multiplayer.
Well, not even that, but just imagine if they would have done like some event or something,
Yeah,
just to keep like, because like
I think
I think
that's what
that's one
they.
thing
I
that
think
could
they.
have helped it.
Yeah,
Like
I think
they
they
needed to
dropped
keep it
the ball.
relevant. They need to
Yeah,
keep it relevant.
I
You
think
know,
they dropped the ball with at least keeping it in people's
keep it in the
intent,
minds, right?
keeping it
Yeah.
in their minds. But yeah, we could talk about the you know, we know for sure best performer is going to go to Yuri from
You
Spider-Man. That's
think? You
I
think?
think so, man.
So here's my
You were saying that it's going to be
here's my
someone from
caveat. Well, that's
Baldur's Gate, but I think it's
that's
Yuri, man. Dude's like a legend when it comes to
I,
voice acting.
no, I agree, dude.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But from what I've heard, Neil Newbon gave a fucking hell of a performance in Baldur's Gate, and if Baldur's Gate does have the potential to compete to get Game of the Year,
Yeah.
like here, I guess here's what I'll say. I don't know which category gets announced first out of
Yeah.
these two,
Probably
but
best performer, right? Because Game of the Year is probably the last category that they gave.
I, I don't know.
Is it,
I don't think it was.
they always give Game of the Year. I feel like Game of the Year is going to
dude.
be at the end.
But I
of the
swear
show,
I
bro.
watched that. Like, when I watched it last year, I don't think Game of the Year was the last award.
It has to be.
I hope it is, but either
Yeah.
way, I think if Game of the Year got announced first, I think
Yeah.
whoever won Game of the Year, then Best Performance goes to them. So I guess if Best Performance does get announced first, but it's not gonna happen. If Yuri wins Best Performance, that's you're purely off of how great Yuri is,
I
and
think
like
he has to get it, bro.
yeah,
Because
and
you
how
gotta
popular he
well,
is.
and then
Because
think about the range that he brought, even with playing
Venom,
Peter.
yeah,
Yeah.
or not Venom, but
Yeah, I mean, bro, he brought the cocky Peter, he
what do we
brought the dramatic, and then he brought the angry black suit. Like it was definitely
yeah, right.
So, I mean, who else brought that much range to? I mean, probably some of the other, but Yuri's just also a really popular voice actor. Like he is.
No, that's what
He
I'm
is
saying.
Spider-Man,
I
bro.
think
Yeah, so
his popularity
yeah,
might help him here.
I think
I
so.
just think that if Baldur's Gate really is in that contention that people are
Yeah,
saying it is,
I
then
think it'd be. I think.
it's close. I think it's
Yeah,
close. I think it's close. Let's just say,
yeah. It better be
let's
Yuri,
say
bro.
let's
Yeah, and the Idris is in this category too, and
that's
I'm
what I'm
like, it
saying,
better be
dude.
Yuri.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like
come on, man.
Yuri deserves it, and I think the fans they're gonna. I mean, the fact that we can vote, people are gonna give it to Yuri, bro. They have to give it to Yuri. I don't even know. I mean, Idris, Melanie Lambert from Alan Wake 2, and then Ben Starr, Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Nah, Yuri all the way, bro.
All right. Well, then I guess real quick then too, because we're not gonna hit on every category in Game of the Year. We're
Yeah.
only hitting on a few of them here.
Right.
If you think then that has to be Yuri then for best performance, then do you think then that the adaptation has to be The Last of Us then, or do you think?
Yeah, it's gonna be The Last
You
of
think
Us.
so?
I think so. I mean, HBO.
Not even with suit the popularity of that Super Mario IP, man.
Nah, but we were like kind of talking about it off screen. I don't even think it should be nominated because if you look at the rest of the categories, all live. Well, Castlevania.
Castlevania's not.
Nah, I wouldn't even get like category. Yeah, no, Castlevania. They're not gonna. Castlevania is definitely not gonna win.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
Super Mario may win because of which is crazy because of the popularity of the movie.
Yeah.
But it should be Last of Us.
And
I
will
Gran
say,
Turismo wins,
yeah,
I'll be happy with that.
No, Gran Turismo. That's what I voted for. If Gran Turismo wins, I'm gonna take credit.
Good that it was
partly
good
take
for that
credit.
it was nominated. I mean, people really resonate with the movie. It was a
I'm
great
gonna
movie.
write to the directors at GT, say you better thank me. I voted for y'all. No, but no, you and I
Yeah,
both
Last
went and
of
saw
Us.
GT, and that movie was awesome. I mean, like literally when we were watching GT, I felt like I was playing the game.
Yeah, no,
Like I
super
feel like
immersive.
I felt like I was in the game.
Super
Essentially.
immersive, great story.
Oh,
I
amazing
mean,
story.
Yeah.
Real quick, I don't know the name. Maybe we could look it up
With
real
the
quick.
indie games?
Yeah, but Dave the Diver,
You wanna
which is
get
really
to that?
which it's we don't need to get into it because we're really running over time.
Okay.
But it's these indie games. We could just shout out the fact that there's a little bit of controversy going on with the indie games because Dave the Diver, I've seen it been played. I've never played it myself. It looks really fun, I'll admit, and I kind of want to play it. It's on my wish list currently on Steam, so I'm just going to say that. But an indie game is supposed to be a game that is backed by an independent studio that essentially does not have a ton of money compared to like these multi-million-dollar companies and studios and all that they have. Dave the Diver is backed by a larger studio from what I've heard. I've heard that it's like this year it's kind of like a controversial thing with I'm gonna try to look this up. It's
Yeah.
it could it yeah, it's like a controversial thing that they're on it because of who they are owned or
Yeah.
backed by
Yeah.
or
Yeah. We're
whatever.
like a multi-million-dollar studio.
Yeah, it's
So
like is that really what an indie game is kind of thing? So, um Mint Rocket and Nexon. Is it Nexon? Is that the
yeah,
big one?
I think it is. But yeah, no, I can see the issue. Why is it nominated? Why it's considered an indie, and it's kind of like a slap in the face for all the other indie game developers for this game to win, and they don't have that same backing. They're
Yeah, I
working
think
with
it is
their
Nexon. That's the controversial thing about it. But yeah, dude,
yeah. I'm not
it's
with
just.
that.
I mean, I don't know anything. I'm not. I don't know much about these indie games. The rest of them, Cocoon,
I heard Sea of Star is pretty good.
Dredge. I think I downloaded it at one point. I
What
because
Sea of Star?
it's on PlayStation. I wanted to try
Yeah,
it. And then what is that? Viewfinder, I think.
yeah. And the Cocoon I heard is good too.
Yeah, no, I mean, so yeah, I mean, you definitely shouldn't be having a game on there that is backed
Yeah,
by a multi whatever. Yeah, that's just
yeah. It's kind of takes
common
away.
sense,
Yeah, it kind
honestly.
of takes away from it.
And then just a couple more things that we wanted to touch on a little bit here is there are some anticipated games coming out, but real quick before we get into that, because we'll end it on the anticipated games.
Yeah.
The ongoing category.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's two games that I think are the only two that are competing for this category at this moment. We didn't even write the other nominees up here
Yeah,
because
but
that's how
these
irrelevant
two,
I
yeah,
think that they
these two
are
are
to
the
this
one.
category. But ongoing, I think the two that are up for competition are Apex Legends and Fortnite.
Yeah.
And I am going to say
What do you think?
that Fortnite's going to take this one.
I think
Be
Fortnite's gonna take it too.
mainly, and I'm not maybe not even mainly, but I think like we had just said with Hogwarts Legacy and staying relevant, Fortnite just had one of the largest events slash like months in their history
Yeah.
of being a game for the past 5-6 years. So it's like,
Yeah.
they brought back OG Fortnite, the OG map. Millions of people were playing it. I forget the exact numbers,
Yeah.
but lots of people were playing it. I being one of them. And I'm gonna say this. Shout out to my boy Wiggs, and I'll even shout out Woody on this too. I used to tell them. I used to play Fortnite with them all the time when it first, kind of came out because I was on the tail end of college, or we had just graduated college when it was really starting to get popular.
Yeah.
And I used to always play with them, and I kind of fell out of interest in the game kind of once it got out of that OG era. Just because there was so many changes, I was like, this just doesn't even feel like the same game to me anymore. I just don't want to like. I am like lost. It was almost like I'm getting on a game that I was once comfortable with. Now that I don't even know what's going on. I mean,
Yeah.
partly on me too, maybe because I didn't stay with it. But I took a long break from it. Honestly, I took like a good year to 2 year, like a year maybe a year to two probably I would say
Okay.
break.
Yeah.
Of just not playing the game. There would be some points when I would get notification like, hey, they just dropped this dope Spider-Man collab, and I literally would
Yeah.
log on just to get the skin, just to have it, because I'd always said like, I'm not gonna obviously forget about the game. It was, because it gave me a lot of great memories back when it first came out. But I was like, they got to do something drastic to
Right.
get me back on this game, and they
Yeah.
did. They did. They did the OG Fortnite stuff, which was all. I've been having so much fun over the past couple weeks just playing the shit out of that. Honestly, neglecting all my other responsibilities to play that shit. And then they had their Fortnite event, which
Yeah.
a few I know some of my friends they definitely were like kind of like I kind of heard that once OG Fortnite goes away I might not play it again, but then they had this event, dude. They had Eminem had a live performance at the event, and then they showed off these three new modes, which are ultimately essentially three whole new games within inside Fortnite, which essentially Fortnite is on its way to becoming a platform. It's not even really like Fortnite's core game is the battle royale. That's what it was built off of. But at this point, there's so many mini games on that game. There's so many other things that are being done, and now you're gonna have Lego Fortnite, which is essentially Lego's version of Minecraft, which is gonna be so sick. You essentially shrink down into a little Lego piece, and then you're literally like in a world where you're using Lego pieces to build, craft, farm, do whatever, and it's going to be essentially like Minecraft. And then you have Rocket Racing, which is a new fledged out racing mode, and then they're introducing Fortnite Festival, which is essentially a rock band mode where you can get together with friends. And you're like, if you remember, Guitar Hero Rock Band, where you had to like time up the keys and
Mm.
everything like that to tune, like to music notes. It's going to be like that, dude. So it's like
Yeah.
they just had this whole big event, like in terms of relevancy. Like they had, I know they had, I forget the exact number, but I want to say it was like over. It was definitely over 10 million. It was
Oh
probably
yeah.
like maybe 20 million people trying to watch this
Jeez.
event all at the time that it was
Yeah.
on there. Like
I
it was
mean,
crazy, dude.
yeah.
It's
You
crazy.
say all that to say, yeah. Fortnite's definitely. I mean, I see it more honestly. I think personally, I think Apex is a better shooter when it comes down, but when it comes to popularity, like Fortnite
I would
has it
I
made.
would definitely like if you're talking like
Shooter.
shooter,
Yeah,
like cuz
the mechanics.
Fortnite is more of like an arcade shooter
Yeah,
in terms of like it's not like
it's
you know
not like
like
um
I'm trying to think about the best way to word this, but it's like there's no blood, there's no
yeah.
there it's not like I don't know. It's not like a war. You're not in like a war. Whereas in Apex Legends, you actually feel like you're kind of like I don't know. Like you're like I mean, you're with three people. It's not a war either. But you're like
Yeah, it's a battle royale.
it feels like more of like Call of Duty than Fortnite feels. You know what
Yeah,
I
I feel
mean?
like I
Like
think Apex is like the most finely tuned. Like if you're a person who like enjoys shooters, like it's a
in
very
movement and shoot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the most finely tuned shooter that you'll play. But yeah, Fortnite's again is still great as well, and I think they do a good job of really revamping it, which is why it stays so relevant. So
And I
yeah, Fortnite all
honestly,
day.
yeah,
It's gonna win.
yeah, I don't think there's, I don't know what Apex has done. I guess over this past year too, that could potentially maybe keep it as
I
relevant, but I also don't play it, so
yeah,
it's
I think
you know.
it's I mean I have two of my buddies that played all the time, but it's kind of like its own little community, and the same with like
I mean
yeah.
I would definitely probably go back to it at some point, but like and I mean I definitely enjoyed it when I used to play it, but I don't know, just like it was kind of like during that battle royale phase. I mean,
Yeah.
like I kind of was just going trying them all out, and I mean there were definitely some that I like and some that I didn't.
Yeah.
Obviously there were some that I fell in and out of love with or
Right.
whatever, so it was like that was definitely one of them. So
Yeah.
but I would agree with you. I mean, it's a fine tuned game, and it's honestly when it comes to shooters, it's definitely competing up there in one of the top. So,
Yeah.
um,
But yeah, let's
yeah. Last but not least for game of the year
anticipate it.
stuff and
Yeah.
anticipated games, because I would say 2023 overall was probably a pretty wild year for games.
Probably the best year
It
of
was like
games
one of those,
in probably I think in like a maybe 5 6 years, bro. If you think about all the properties
just
or
like
all the
everything
game,
that came out. Yeah.
everything that came out, it's like top tier games. So yeah, this is probably the best year release we've had in a while.
Yeah, no, it was a good year. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm kind of hoping that that just means they're gonna get better and better and better now that because
yeah,
obviously, with a few years ago with the pandemic and everything, you could understand why certain
delays and all
things
that. Yeah,
happen. But and maybe I'm wondering too, if is that like a like one of those overflow things where like they some games had to delay to these certain lengths where it was like, oh, they had to release this year, and it's like that's why this year became one of those crazy years of releasing.
that could be it.
But you
That could
never
be
know.
it.
So I'm
Yeah,
just hoping that
yeah,
as a gamer, I hope that they
oh, yeah.
continue on this hype and we just continue to get really good games going into 2024.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at the anticipated release, I see that I mean the list doesn't really like the one thing that jumps off for me is
It-
the personally because I'm a huge fan of the
oh yeah,
series in general, just Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It's a sequel to the remake that they've been currently working on with Final Fantasy 7. It's part two. They're doing 3 parts of it, so it drops in February. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna make a lot of noise. Hopefully, it doesn't get lost in the. I think it's gonna do all right because it doesn't look like it's gonna be that crowded for 2024. I think 2025 is gonna be
could
a
be a
year
crazy
where
year.
there's gonna be a lot of releases and all
Probably
that.
get
So
Wolverine that year.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like you look at that list. I mean, it's
Star
not
Wars
gonna.
Outlaws jumps out to me for
Yeah,
sure.
but is that
And
gonna
then
come out next year though? You think?
isn't that why that they're on? Hold on, let me see if that's.
I
Isn't
mean,
that why they
yeah,
put it on anticipated? Isn't it like next year's
yeah,
games?
yeah. But I don't know. They always do. They don't really do well with releases and saying that they're actually gonna release on time. So
Let's see.
yeah, I mean, I guess if it's on the list, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't have years or whatever the release dates, but either way, I mean, it's not like a crazy list or anything, but I would say, I guess, maybe another anticipated game that maybe got left off the list just due to a lawsuit issue is college football. College football's coming back, and NCAA football is on schedule from what I've seen in rumors to release on the summer of 2024 as planned.
Oh wow!
You know, with the NIL and everything, they had, you know, this, it essentially made it way easier for EA to kind of come back into the fold and not have to deal with that lawsuit that they were originally dealing with having to, you know, pay players for their name, image, and likeness. So, excuse me. So now with them being able to get that, from what I've heard, I believe EA is doing this thing where they're kind of like doing like an opt-in program. So they're like sending everything out to all these colleges saying like, hey, if you want to be in our game, awesome, we want you to be too. Here's what you'll get out of it, and here's what we need from you, kind of thing.
I love that.
And then, you know, it's perfect, right? And if you don't want to be in the game, then we won't use your info, and you'll just be a default name and player or something. So, you know, I totally get it. Like I mean, I think that's probably the best way to do it. But yeah, there was another group that tried to issue another lawsuit because of the NIL stuff over this stuff with EA, but I've from recent reports I've seen EA come out and say that they're not worried about it and that they're on schedule to release in 2024.
Cool.
So that is another game. I mean, it's pretty niche into it's mainly sports. You know, a lot of these other games are like pretty kind of like similar in terms of like genre and style, and some of these games, you know, story mode or whatever. But yeah, no, that's definitely one. Star Wars Outlaws is another game that I'm looking forward to coming out. Yeah. Anything else that you know about? I can't think off the top of my head. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the only one I'm looking forward to is Final Fantasy. So.
Oh well, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, either way, you know, the Game Awards are coming out. Before I forget, I don't want to, I guess, forget to say this. Game Awards are this week. They are on Thursday, so it'll be a day after this episode drops.
Yep.
So make sure you tune in. I believe they're at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be watching. We might be watching together. Not 100% sure yet, but we'll probably be watching. Checking, you know, out who wins and everything like that. And you know, maybe we'll throw a little, you know, post Game Awards thoughts on you know, our social somewhere over IG, TikTok, or something like that. But
stay tuned.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned. We definitely appreciate you guys tuning in here for our Spider-Man 2 review and Game Awards review. I already know that this went way over the past time that we wanted it to go to, but it's all good. So you guys are getting a lot of a long episode here coming up again here from the Rising of the Dreamerverse. I think honestly, I think they've just progressively been getting longer over the past few weeks. Like they've just been going for like, they went from like 60 minutes to like hour 15. Now it's like, it was like an hour 36. Now it's going to be like 2 hours, bro. It's we're just keep getting.
Wait, it's 2 hours?
It's close. We're not going to be on. It's close. It's close. It's close. It's close. This won't be in it, so well, it will be in it, but either way, it's close.
Next episode is gonna be like half of this.
It is. As you can tell, we're still struggling with just like kind of direction with our game. We're still trying to figure that out a little bit, or with our podcast, we're trying to figure out just exactly kind of the best way to touch on points, not get too off the deep end. But I mean, most of the time we're at least talking about, we're at least bringing up stuff that is good. So I'm not too worried about it. But yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please give us a like on our videos, and you know, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We're definitely trying to get that grown. We're trying to get it, you know, bigger and bigger. We haven't really posted any new YouTube content yet. It's on the way, but it's all of our podcasts are on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just at the Rising of the Dreamerverse. Yep. Same thing on Instagram. And then TikTok is Rising of the Dreamerverse, and then Twitter is TROTD Podcast. And yeah, if you guys want to interact with us, catch us on there. We're also on Threads, which I believe is just the same thing as the Instagram, correct? Yep. So yeah, hit us up, and please let us know what you guys think of the episodes. And yeah, anything you got?
Nah, appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.